Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, I'm Leenda, and this is for the record, Your Honor. So I wanted to jump in on this Las Vegas conversation and topic. Trump Hotel Cybertruck driver, Matthew Livelsberger. I do apologize if I am saying that wrong, but we also have heard different names and terms for him. So you will hear different types throughout this entire video and conversation. So leaked emails from the Cybertruck bomber, Matthew Livelsberger, claimed that drones on the East Coast are using gravity manipulation, a technology allegedly exclusive to China and the United States. Now, I say this with advisory. Please be advised this video is for entertainment or educational purposes only. Always do your own research to make and come to your own conclusions. This video and stream also may contain opinions and speculations. Not just mine, but others. And we will go through them. So Matt accuses the United States of hiding its weaponization of exotic technology and warns that the drones seen across the country are hostile Chinese aircraft launched from the Atlantic in a show of force. Livelsberger describes these drones as an unprecedented national security threat capable of carrying unlimited payloads and suggests that China is preparing for some harming on the East Coast. Also, we are not violating any guidelines on this platform. Respectfully, we do use code names and terms for certain things that may trigger something in the algorithm. So I do apologize for that. I have no choice. As long as I want to spread awareness to certain topics, I have to follow the rules. Otherwise, it doesn't get showed and it doesn't get spread among the masses. We will also go into talking about Sam Shumate, a person that was on the Shawn Ryan show, and they dropped some major news on that podcast. And it kind of, I believe, in my opinion, speculation, caused the FBI to have a press conference. I think it was like an hour after it dropped. They had no choice but to come out and say some things that they really didn't want to. I feel like they were hiding a lot, and we are still getting mixed signals and messages and information on this whole thing. So it's quite the rabbit hole. So if you are not aware of this situation and topic, on New Year's Day here in the States, we had unfortunate news that in New Orleans during their celebration night into the early hours of the morning, there was a person driving a white Ford F-150 and he went right through the crowd. And it's terrible. And the footage is horrifying. As we discuss things about this situation, some gruesome details may come up. Just a heads up. And right after that, we had heard news that a Tesla Cybertruck was parked outside Trump Hotel Towers in Las Vegas, and it was in flames. And in videos that were being posted on social media, you could hear fireworks in the background, but no one was talking about the fireworks until later. At this time, it was being talked about and reported about as a possible, we're going to call it horrific harming. But man, that wasn't it, and we didn't even get to the many twists and turns. So right before New Year's Day, we had this event outside Trump Hotel and Tower in Las Vegas, and it spread in the news and social media. Apparently, when Matthew Livelsberger also known as Matt Berg, rented this Tesla Cybertruck, he apparently had contacted his ex. It had been reported by TimesNowNews.com that he sent a text to her showing the vehicle and said, "I feel like Batman." Alicia Arrett claims she was unaware and had no knowledge that he was planning something. Nonetheless, a firework explosion outside the luxurious hotels of the president-elect, who Matthew has been said to be a large fan and supporter of. Which is no surprise. Most patriotic and true army soldiers tend to side with Donald Trump, as he's done a lot for the U.S. military. As the Denver Gazette had reported in their publishings, the active duty member also mentioned how he felt like a kid with a new toy, which is totally normal and expected. I mean, if you had the chance to rent one of these things, a fan of it or not, you still would be interested to check it out. Its interior, its gadgets, let's just be honest. The messages also contained, "I rented a Tesla Cybertruck. It's the shit," as he continued to have the conversation with her into the evening on New Year's Eve, which had also attached photos and videos of the futuristic ride in it. "I feel like Batman or Halo," he texted to Arrett. She admits the discussion was a bit strange, as hearing from him out of the blue was just obviously not expected. Alicia had made sure to give detail that the two had broken up and stopped talking to each other after a painful breakup back in 2021. So this is pretty random. Livelsberger is said to be married with a baby girl. Meanwhile, Alicia is a single mother. The timing was just a bit odd, but Alicia said it was nice to hear from him. "I'm building drones in my new position. You would love it," he said to Alicia in another message. Alicia replied asking, "How fast is it?" And he responded with the word "ungodly." This backs claims that he made in his email to Sam Shoemate, a former intelligence analyst who was recently on the Shawn show and podcast, openly discussing the email he received from the Green Beret, Matt Berg. This is where he mentioned his experience and knowledge of the drones that the public has been seeing. The confusion is to why he was seeming so hard, yet in the email to the others, he was extremely concerned. Was it Matt? Was he trying to make note to her to focus on the topic of the drones? Did he reach out to her specifically because of their past? He knows he can trust her? Maybe. I don't know. It was reported that Livelsberger had the pew-pew and unalived himself inside the Tesla Cybertruck. With the largest hand pew-pew there is, a 50 caliber Desert Eagle, speculated to be right before or simultaneously as he detonated the rigged so-called BOMB to activate the fireworks explosion. This whole thing confused many. And may I add, just recently there's been videos released where people claim they could see him turning his head. But now there's people coming out that analyzed the video and the data with the video, saying that it was manipulated with AI. But then a lot of people are trying to figure out where this video really came from. Where is the main source from? Now, if you really think about it, Matt was smart. If what we are being told on the Shawn show is true, then he didn't want to hurt anyone and wanted to just cause attention. So he chose the fireworks and a truck that actually could and would contain most of the explosion, which it kind of did. If he wanted to blow the place up and bring the towers down, as well as harm people, he most definitely could have. He was extremely well trained and qualified. But now the biggest question is he alive? Did he somehow plot and plan this and get away with it? He was saying in his email that he was being followed. So let's take a look at the email that Sam Shoemate claims he received just days before this whole incident happened. And he came out on the Shawn Ryan show right away to discuss this. And as they were talking about it, they were checking the show's emails to see if this guy reached out to them, and apparently he did. In case I do not make it to my destination point or onto the Mexico border, I am sending this now. Please do not release this until 1 January and keep my identity private until then. First off, I am not under duress or hostile influence or control. My first car was a 2006 black Ford Mustang V6 for verification. And I will add, this was looked up by lots of sleuths, and there was a Ford Mustang, but it wasn't a 2006. I believe it was like a 98 or something. So that's a little weird. What we have been seeing with the drones is the operational use of propulsion systems powered aircraft by most recently China in the East Coast, but throughout history, the US. Only we in China have this capability. Our OPCEN location for this activity is in the box below. China has been launching them from the Atlantic from submarines for years, but this activity recently has picked up. As of now, it is just a show of force, as they are using it similar how they use the balloon for SIGINT and ISR, which are also part of the integrated comms system. There are dozens of these balloons in the air at any given time. The so what is because of the speed and stealth of these unmanned AC. They are the most dangerous threat to national security that has ever existed. They basically have an unlimited payload capability and can park it over the White House if they wanted. It's checkmate. USG needs to give the history of this, how we are employing it and weaponizing it, how China is employing them, and what the way forward is. China is poised to harm anywhere in the East Coast. I've been followed for over a week now from likely Homeland or FBI, and they are looking to move on me and are unlikely going to let me cross into Mexico, but won't, because they know I am armed and I have a massive VBIED. So in other words, explosion devices in a vehicle. I've been trying to maintain a very visible profile and have kept my phone, and they are definitely digitally tracking me. I have knowledge of this program and also war crimes that were covered up during the airstrikes in Nimruz Providence, Afghanistan in 2019 by the admin, DOD, DEA, and CIA. I conducted targeting for these strikes over 125 buildings. 65 were struck because of CIVCAS that killed hundreds of civilians in a single day. YASyourhonor continued strikes after spotting civilians. In initial ISR, it was supposed to take 6 minutes and scramble all aircraft in CENTCOM. The UN basically called these war crimes, but the administration made them disappear. I was part of that cover-up with YASyourhonor and Agent Redacted of the DEA. So I don't know if my abduction attempt is related to either. I work with GEN Miller's IO staff on this, as well as the response to Bala Murgab, AOBS commander at the time. Redacted can validate this. And it was said through the Shawn Ryan show that they redacted these because they are currently active agents. So they are on current missions. You need to elevate this to the media so we avoid a world war. This is a mutually assured destruction situation. For vetting my LinkedIn, Matt Berg or Matthew Livelsberger, an active duty 18Z out of 1-10. My profile is public. I have an active TSSCI with USAP access. Then it also had another email underneath that says, do not message me. I will send out updates via both Signal and email, but trust me, you're going to want to be involved. But then we had this manifesto that was so-called, apparently, I guess, in his phone. And that had a whole nother story to it. And if you ask me, I felt like the writing comes off different. Did he really write this? We don't know. Was this something planted by the FBI? We don't know. We are the United States of America, the best country people to ever exist. But right now, we are terminally ill and headed towards collapse. We are crumbling because of a lack of self-respect, morals, and respect for others. Greed and gluttony has consumed us. The top 1% decided long ago they weren't going to bring everyone else with them. You are cattle to them. We have strayed from family values and corrupt our minds, and I am a prime example of having it all, and it never being enough. A lot of us are just sitting around waiting to die. No sunlight, no steps, no fresh air, no hope. Our children are addicted to screens by the age of 2. We are filling our bodies with processed foods. Our population is too fat to join the military, yet we are facing a war with China, Russia, North Korea, and Iran before 2030. We must take these actions if we are going to make it past the next few years in one piece. We must end the war in Ukraine and negotiate settlement. It is the only way. Focus on strength and winning. Masculinity is good and men must be leaders. Strength is a deterrent and fear is a product. Weeded out those in our government and military who do not idolize. Number 2, the income inequality in this country and cost of living is outrageous. The number of homeless on the streets is embarrassing and disgusting. Have some pride and take care of this. Stop obsessing over diversity. We are all diverse, and DEI is a cancer. Thankfully, we rejected the DEI candidate, and we will have a real president instead of Weekend at Bernie's. We must move on from the culture of weakness and self-enrichment perpetrated by our senior political and military leaders. We are done with the blatant corruption. Our soldiers are done fighting wars without end states or clear objectives. This was not a terrorist attack. It was a wake-up call. Americans only pay attention to spectacles and violence. What better way to get my point across with a stunt with fireworks and explosives? Why did I personally do it now? I needed to cleanse my mind of my brothers I've lost and relieve myself of the burden of lives I took. Consider this last sunset of 24 and my actions the end of our sickness and a new chapter of health for our people. Rally around the Trump, Musk, Kennedy, and ride this wave to the highest hegemony of all Americans. We are second to no one. Fellow service members, veterans, and all Americans, time to wake up. We are being led by weak and fickless leadership who only serve to enrich themselves. Military and vets move on DC starting now. Militias felicitate and augment this activity. Occupy every major road along Fed buildings and the campus of Fed buildings by the hundreds and thousands. Lock the highways around down with semis right after everybody gets in. Hold until the purge is complete. Try peaceful means first, but be prepared to fight to get the Dems out of the Fed government and military by any means necessary. They all must go, and a hard reset must occur for our country to avoid collapse. MSG, Matt Livelsberger, 18Z, 10th Special Forces Group. This is where Sam Shoemate responded, "This is obviously a very big deal, but I don't have anything to verify this information with. Talking about these types of systems without evidence just makes me another UFO talking head." In response, Matt had written, "Can I get a Fox News contact on Signal as well as Shawn's show? Hegseth would be good too." I believe this is when Sam Shoemate had responded saying, pretty much he doesn't have those types of connections. But he did show this publicly. "Sending with a VPN active on Wi-Fi only. Do not message me. I will send out updates via both Signal and email, but trust me, you're gonna want to be involved." The Shawn Ryan show went on to have a discussion where they both believe there's a huge possibility that Matt Berg had this all planned out and survived, possibly made it to his destination of Mexico. On my X account, I asked the public, "Did you watch the Shawn Ryan show? Watch the interview with Sarah Adams and Sam Shoemate. Wake up. I highly suggest you go watch it before it gets taken down. Is it possible that the Las Vegas Trump Hotel Cybertruck explosion driver Matt Livelsberger still is alive?" 73.3% says yes, he's in Mexico, and 26.7% say no, he is deceased. In another poll, I had said Shawn Ryan podcast discussed that someone was told that Matthew Livelsberger, his DNA that was found in the truck, did not match his child. They made sure to mention this to hint which of the following. 29.2% said he had a mental breakdown, and 70.8% believe it was hinted because he is still alive. It does seem like the majority of you are thinking it was planned out and he might have succeeded. And what he's waiting for, I don't know. So while I was researching, I saw that Shawn Ryan had shared an update. He had said, "My family and I are disappearing for a few days. My account will be active, but it will not be me behind the wheel. What we are about to release is mind-boggling and will raise a lot of questions." And boy, did it. And he had asked all media requests to go to his producer. So I was testing out theories and trying to get the conversation going to see all sides and angles, like I always like to do. And I said, this has caused much concern and confusion for the public. They don't know who to believe or trust. Did we oversee that Shawn Ryan is a former CIA contractor himself? Should that make us question the whole thing? Or should we believe him because he was part of them and now he's whistleblowing the truth? Either way, we need to hope for the best. So while testing the theories and getting the brain function going and seeing other possibilities, I had put it out, who is playing who here? I would sure hope not, but what if Tim Kennedy and Shawn Ryan are or have been compromised? They know they have followers and a major platform to get a narrative out. Dems learning to do the whole podcast and YouTube route because it works so well for JD Vance, Theo Vaughn, Donald Trump, Joe Rogan, and viewer ratings wise, call her daddy with Kamala Harris. Just hear this out. How come Matthew Livelsberger, aka Matt Berg, who you will see in a video coming up, partners in Challenge for Ultimate Soldier on History Channel, if he was looking to speak out and connect with podcasters and the public figures like he did with Shawn Ryan, and he was trying to get Pete Hegseth, and he was looking for all sorts of certain connections, Why didn't he just go reach out to Tim Kennedy directly as he could? Even if time has passed, that would have been a quicker route and had better chances. I don't understand. I find that really weird that he didn't just think about his already connections. And it's for sure he knew Tim Kennedy has a platform.
It's a reality show that pits teams of elite soldiers from around the world against each other.
Matt and Tim, from the U.S. Army Special Forces, better known as the Green Berets.
Matthew Livelsberger and his partner Tim Kelly, both Green Berets, appeared on the Ultimate Soldier Challenge 12 years ago on the History Channel. They not only won, it wasn't even close.
You know, for television, they always try to make it a little bit more competitive, but we swept the whole entire show.
When he appeared on the show, Livelsberger used a shortened version of his name, Matt Bird. So it took Tim Kelly a while to put 2 and 2 together.
And then I saw a Matt Bird with an older photo of him, and I was like, oh no, dude, I know that guy. And then it just like tore my heart out because he was a really great Green Beret.
And what was he like?
He was charming, he was talented, he was personable, he was kind, he was all the things that you would expect from a Green Beret.
At one point during the show, Livelsberger lost his cool in the 90+ degree heat.
I'm about to roll now. I got hay exhaustion, man. How do you take the off right now?
Tim Kelly says he hadn't heard from Livelsberger for a few years.
It just categorically does not make sense. From everything that I have heard, he was universally valued by his team, by his peers. I don't understand, it doesn't make sense, and it is just horrifically heartbreaking.
Spencer Evans, Special Agent in charge of the FBI's Las Vegas division. In terms of a question about the validity of what Livelsberger put out to the public, either in the two-page manifesto or additional documentation we're discovering, we're not speaking to the content. I can say, as Sheriff Corrin described and others, it runs the gamut, and he's talking about feeling that he was surveilled, guilt. You can tell there's some anguish there, some frustration with the government. I mean, there's a whole host of things. So we haven't gotten into what's legitimate, what's not. The only thing that, out of an abundance of caution, in as much as there's Department of Defense equities that speak to sources and methods or something else that would endanger folks overseas, that's not being released. But beyond that, we haven't vetted any of his writings to determine what's legitimate and what was in his own head. Yeah, including, he alleges a variety of things, and we haven't gotten into the weeds on any of that.
That podcast email is him.
Yeah, so we have confirmed that the document that he sent to the podcast, we know that he was the one that sent that document. That's correct.